All right, so here we are in Photoshop, and this is what we're going to be creating, something similar to this. This is sort of rough. We're going to edit from scratch. So basically, these are the images that I decided to choose. This one right here is going to light up her face, and I think this was the cutest face out of all the ones I took, and it's sort of difficult because like she wasn't, she's doing like this fake smile, so I chose that one. Then here we're going to pick one hand, take that section. This is going to be for the other hand. And this is going to be for the background. I basically did another shot where I just lit the background up right there because you can see here it's pretty dark. So let's open all these in Photoshop. Oh, I hate when it does that. Nougat. Once you open in, let me shrink my screen here. Once you open it, it's going to be in RAW. Now, I'll probably give these to you guys in JPEG if you want. And by the way, you can either, there should be a link below or like a button that says take me to Messenger or something like that. I can actually give you these files within Facebook Messenger, deliver them to you that way, which is pretty cool. So yeah, if you want to follow along, just download the files. Okay, so here in RAW, I'll sort of fix these in RAW anyway, but normally it was like this. It was pretty dark. So I'm just going to bring the exposure up a little bit, and then maybe highlights as well, because I want this part highlighted. Let's also make it a little bit, bring a little bit oranges in there. Let's see, whites. Bring the whites up as well, something just like that. Okay, so I'm going to open that one. And basically we're going to do the same with all of the other images and try to, get them to match. Okay, so I'm going to go through this pretty quick just because it's not really a difficult image, and I want to show you some very simple ways to make an image like this look good, because like who has time to spend forever on stuff like this? So, okay, so we're going to start with this as our base, and I'm actually going to bring in the left arm first. So a lot of times when you're compositing, you're going to want to cut out the hand exactly, and then put it into the next image. But for now, I'm going to hit L on the keyboard, which is the lasso tool right over here in Photoshop. And we're just going to do something like this. I'm going to make it kind of big, and I'm actually going to go just like this. Now I'm going to hit Command C and then Command V, which is going to copy and paste it to the top right there. So now you can see it's a separate layer. I'm going to bring it in here and plop it right over the top here. Okay. So an easy way to sort of line this up is I'll take the opacity and bring it down a little bit. And that way I'm looking for specific things, mainly the shoulder area, because if it's not lined up with the shoulder, it's going to look really weird. See that compared with her neck? So I'm just lining that up really well with the shoulder. And that looks like it's pretty good. So now I'm going to increase that. So now look what happened. Basically, it just completely deleted all that, and it looks pretty good. Now obviously we got to get rid of some of this this line over here. Now let's see, I'm actually going to crop this in, so we're going to crop out my hand here. So hit C on the keyboard. We're just going to bring this in just like that, and just make her more of the focus, just something right there. All right, and then now I'm actually going to name this is going to be her right arm. I'll call this BG. Okay, so go on the layer that says right arm, and you're going to go and make a mask. Basically what this is going to do is allow you to paint black. So make sure you're on the black color, and you're painting with your brush right here. And I'm on a soft edged brush, so hardness, you don't want it to be hard, you want it to be very soft. And I'm going to increase my size here. An easy way to do this on the keyboard is the brackets, the left and right bracket. It's right next to the letter P. That's like saves me basically. Like these hotkeys, they'll save you, and they can just make the jobs go really quick. Saves you time. Okay, so see how I'm just painting that out right there, just very slightly. I'm just gonna leave all this. Actually, maybe. Yeah, see, because my hand's right there, so I'm going to undo that. And see how I'm painting black and it's painting out the mask? I'm actually going to go to hit 2 on the keyboard. Go over here, hit 2, which is going to bring my opacity to 20%. I'm just going to slightly feather that so there's not such a harsh line. Okay, and then let's go back to 100. Up here, 100 opacity, and I'm going to mask out certain parts of this. Now, when you're masking, you want to make sure to mask around. See, especially if we're not cutting things out, you want to be very precise and make sure you have like a seam that looks pretty good. So I'm always painting along a seam. See this? So I'm painting along this seam here, and so there's no obvious like lines, but there's still some darkness here. So what we'll do is go down to about 10% opacity on my brush, and I'm just going to paint in this area. It's basically going to brighten that up, and I'm basically erasing it, you know, masking it out, and it's going to match with the color behind. So there you go. So there's that. Now I'm going to do the same thing down here. I see some dark spots. Just right like that. So you can see now it's looking a lot better. It's looking almost totally natural. And then let's go down here and fix this seam. So I'm going to go back to my mask, hit B on the keyboard for brush, and click or type in 100 on the keyboard. And now, once again, I'm painting around the seams here. See this? Okay, and then we're going to see if we can blend this in, especially this part right here. See if we can blend this in to make it look. So compositing is all about, like, kind of, I don't want to say it's all about, but you're kind of trying to fake certain things. You're faking the seams on a lot of your images. See this? I'm trying to fake this seam here. Okay, so there's that. Now we got to replace the other hand because we have to make sure that it's bright on top. Okay, so there you go. There's the base. You know, we went from that to this. And that's mainly because we just shot everything on the, or with the camera on a tripod. And I had my daughter stand very still, and I basically took all these shots. So it made compositing a lot easier than if I were to, like, you know, have her do a bunch of different poses, cut out her arms, you know, and all that work. It's a lot more detail work. This is only 3 layers, so it's not bad. So last thing, let's go to this layer right here, and I'm actually going to grab a big section here of the grass, just like that. Actually, maybe the whole underlined section. Hit Command C, Command V. Okay, so I'm just gonna grab this and bring this over here and turn the opacity down. And basically what I'm looking for is lining up the edge right here, the top edge with that top edge, something right like that, and then just make sure that the grass also sort of matches up, just like that. Okay, all right. I'm gonna double click and call this grass. Perfect. Now we have an issue that the background is blurry, the foreground is not, so we can easily blur this. It's not an issue. I'm just gonna go filter, blur. Oops, this is out of the screen, so you're not seeing it, but we'll go. I'm at the top going filter, blur, and then Gaussian blur. And we're going to blur that probably right around there actually. And then I'm going to go filter and then go Gaussian blur again just to double that effect. Okay. So now put a mask on this. Click B, and we're going to paint out all of the stuff on top. Make sure you're at 100% opacity. Okay, so I don't really need the wall. I'm mainly going just for the grass here. Okay, so we are going to now get in here and be kind of precise. So now look at what this has done. It goes from dark to sort of like a bright green, which is nice. So this next step, we are going to be adding in the rainbow. So basically just open up the this rainbow file. You can get this I can send you this in Messenger. Just I think there's like a link below or a button below, and I'll just send you the rainbow that I created. So basically what you got to do, and you can use this over and over with different clients, but just drag it into your image, drop it in, And there's a few other effects that we need to add on top of here. But basically, we're going to hit Command T, and you're going to turn this slightly so it sort of matches her angle right there. Maybe a little bit less, something like that. And then now we got to add some highlights. So we're going to create a blank layer. I'm just going to call this highlights. This is going to be the highlights from the rainbow on her. And to do this, you can go to the blending mode up here and go down to overlay. So basically we have a blank layer with an overlay blending mode. And you're going to hit B on the keyboard. I'm a big fan of hotkeys. It just makes things go easier. So hit B or go over here, and then we're going to pick sort of like a yellowish color over here, but pretty bright. It's going to be for the highlights. Whenever you're painting highlights, I usually just go with an overlay and a really bright color. You don't want a lot of color, and see that might be too much, but also you can bring down the opacity to something right around there. Okay, so I'm going to start painting in. I'm just dabbing around here. Just dabbing. I'll also show you a little trick to making this look more realistic. So I'm going to go to about 10% here. Maybe paint up here, and then we're going to paint on her hand slightly over here, maybe on her forearm, and same with the right over here. Okay, so this might be a little bit, I don't know, a little bit too much. Let's see here. Okay, so now that you have painted that in, let's paint a little bit more. What you got to do is sort of refine this highlight. So right now it's everywhere. It's in the shadows, it's in the highlights, it's sort of everywhere when you're painting this on. So double click to fix this. Double click on the layer, and you're going to go down here to underline layer. And basically this is going to blend this layer with whatever's underneath it. And so we're going to go to underline layer, not this layer, but underline layer. And if you see this, you grab and drag it. It's basically going to get rid of the brightness in the shadows. See that? But see, that's obviously looking nasty. So what we got to do is split this. So hit Option or Alt and click, and that's going to split it. You can see here it's way smoother of a transition. So I'm going to bring it, I'm going to bring it slightly over, just somewhere right around there. So now it's showing more just in the highlights. So that's looking good. I think I'm going to actually erase a little bit. You could do a mask, but I'm just going to erase it about 20% and just erase a little bit around the cheeks right there. Okay. All right, so the next part of this is to create a highlight, somewhat of a like haze highlight above the rainbow. So create another blank layer. I'm just going to call this haze, and we're going to go to a screen blending mode. And now with our brush, you're going to pick the same color, and you're just going to paint a little bit over here. Oh, you can't even tell. Let's see here. Oops. I'm not on my brush. Okay, there you go. I'm on my brush now. So I'm on my brush at about 30% opacity, and we're just going to paint. That's very hazy. So something like this. I'm going to go down to about 10%. I'm just going to sort of paint in over here. Something like that. And then I'm going to go back with my eraser, and at about 10% opacity with my eraser, I just pushed E on the keyboard. I'm just going to go around here and erase certain parts that look a little bit too hazy. Like, it looks pretty hazy, like right up top here, right over here. Okay, something like that. And right in the middle here, it's a little bit too hazy. Okay. So it's looking pretty good. Let's see. Something that's going to make this pop a lot more is if we add some darkness into the background over here. It'll make it look like it's just more dark, you know, kind of like night. So I'm going to go down here to adjustment layer, and I'm going to go to a color balance layer, and let's just add in some blues and cyan to make it look a little bit darker. And then let's bring up the highlights to like some yellow highlights. So it'll bring in those highlights right there. And then I'm going to add another layer, curves adjustment layer. Let's bring down the shadows. So click and bring that down, and then bring up the highlights slightly. something like that. So now we've gone from this to this. See how the focus is coming more into the middle right there. Now I'm not really gonna get rid of this light spot over here. You could if you wanted. I'm just gonna show you for the sake of time how to kind of get this to look good. Let's see. Okay, so we got our highlight there. We got our haze over the top. Let's add a little bit of color to the rainbow here. So we got this layer. Let's see if we can up the opacity. There you go. So that's looking kind of cool. So the cool thing about this is you can actually adjust the rainbow yourself, you know, to however you like it. So here, this is more like the sharp part of the rainbow. You could get rid of that or leave that or whatever. 60. Let's see if we bring that up. Actually, I kind of, man, I don't know. That's undecided on that. I'm bringing a little bit of reds there. Okay. Let's just bring that down a little bit. That's kind of cute, just like that. All right, and then I think we're pretty close to being done. I mean, here's the original, right? Like that, and here's what we've created. So it's a very simple look. We haven't done much like dodging and burning for final effects, but you know, it's just a very simple type look that you can do to composite. I think the only other thing I would do, like I said, I don't want to make this tutorial forever long, but something else you could do is dodge and burn, and that will sort of like make everything pop a lot more. So the way that you do this is you can create a curves layer. I'm going to create two curves layers here. One's going to be called dodge and one's going to be called burn. And what this does is it makes certain things darker and certain things lighter. So with the dodge, we're going to go up here and you just want to bring the center point up and click on the mask and hit Command I to invert that. And then with burn, you're going to bring it down like that, and then you're going to do the same, Command I on the mask. So now these don't do anything if you turn them on and off. What we're going to do, though, is paint. Go to your brush and paint with about 20% opacity. Just get it to 20 right there. 20%. And then we're going to paint in some of these bright spots right here. So see how that's making it brighter? So we're going to paint maybe just very slightly underneath right here. I want to get rid of some of the bags under her eyes. Those are a little bit too intense, just like that. But then, you know, we're going to add a little bit of shine here going on. It's going to create kind of a cool effect. That's a little bit too much. Something like that. And maybe right around here you can see. Basically how I'm doing this is going around to the spots that I see are lit already, that are bright, and I'm just making them slightly brighter. And maybe one just right here, and I'm just going to make this big and just sort of dab on the forehead right there. Okay. And then down here, just a little bit right here, and then right along there. So this is just sort of like a very quick thing. Okay. All right, so now we've done the dodging, so check this out. So before, after, just very slight, and then now we're going to go to burn. With the burn, you want to be careful because this can really make things look bad if you do too much of it. So just going to kind of follow like some of these dark spots right there. I don't want to be too dark. I'm just sort of outlining certain things. Maybe adding more definition down here where it's a little bit too bright. Adding some definition down here because with those highlights it took out a lot of the definition of like the cheeks and whatnot. So add some right there. Then let's see here. That was very, very slight, but now we can probably add a little bit of darkness right there, a little bit right there, maybe something like that. So that is just barely, you know, see, you can barely tell. So there you go. Dodging and burning without it, and with it, things are popping a lot more. If you want, you can probably go in and, you know, like retouch this image a little bit more. Just get rid of some of the blemishes here, which I don't really have a ton of time to do right now. Can you hear my daughter screaming in the background? I'm editing a photo of her and she's just like screaming. Oh, there's a little bruise she got a few weeks ago. Take out the bruise. You know, some of these spots right here, just Just clean those up, you know. There she is screaming. All right. Life is real. Having kids is real. Okay. All right, so there you go. So that's pretty cool. Let's do some final coloring here. See what we can get. I'm actually really liking this image. Let's do, actually before final coloring, let's add a blank layer up top. Let's call it vignette. And we're going to vignette around this shot. So go down to a soft light blending mode. Click B on the keyboard, and then click D as in dad on the keyboard right there. And it's going to turn your palette to black and white. So that's just a quick hotkey. And then I'm going to push 4 on the keyboard to make this 40. And let's paint in right around the edges. This is how I do my vignettes. Something like that, just to bring the focus in towards her. But you know, like, you don't want to do it too dark. I feel like it's getting pretty dang dark here. So I'm going to click E on the keyboard and go to about 20%, or maybe 10%, and let's just sort of feather erase around here, just like that, something like that. And there you go. Okay, so now that I'm backed up, let's go burn some stuff again right here. So make sure you're painting with white at 20%. And I'm gonna sort of do like a global dodge and burn. That was more like a micro dodge and burn. Now we're gonna do the macro, like kind of go big. I'm gonna focus on her. Some areas over here. Actually, no, not right there. Let's see, maybe down here. Painting the shadows. This is gonna add a little bit more depth. Kind of some interest. All right, and then I'm gonna go back to dodge, and I'm actually going to dodge over here a little bit to show her fingers, and maybe bring in some of those, bring up some of those shadows, just like this, just like that. And you want to be careful of the halo. See how it's creating a halo on the outside. So I'm gonna hit X to switch my brush to black, and I'm gonna paint. Let's go to 100%. We're gonna paint back around those edges so we're not getting any halos. Okay. All right, so now dodge is very, very slight. If it's not enough, you can copy this down. See, and that's looking pretty cool. Let's bring this to about 76% opacity, and I'm getting a little bit too much over here, so we're gonna paint out some of this. Just paint out some of that, paint out some of this, just right there. Okay, so now let's do just some final coloring. It is looking a little bit kind of too much over here. So I'm still painting out some of this area right here. See, this is my second dodge layer. Just painted that out. And there we go. It's really interesting. Okay, so now on the top, once again, hold Option or Alt, and you can click on the first layer to see kind of like what we've created. Totally different, right? So over the top of this, let's go create a color balance adjustment layer, and let's see if we add in, let's just mess around with some colors here. So maybe add more blue there, and then I'm going to go to highlights and just slightly add a little bit more yellow, maybe a little bit more red. It'll create like sort of a pinkish look. So if you go before and after, see, it's just popping just slightly, but it's looking a lot cooler. Okay, and now, so this is what I usually do. If I like the layer, I won't really touch it. I'll just create another color balance layer above. So maybe this could use, let's go to highlights and see what adding in some cyan will do. Add in some cyan, add in some blue. I know I just added yellow highlights, but if you add a secondary layer on top, it does a lot. See? So that's the underline layer, this is the top layer. Kind of interesting. So let's back that cyan off a little bit. And there you go. That is how you create a fun image of your kid with a rainbow. So once again, if you guys want the rainbow, it's basically just a layer that you can plop on to your images, which is pretty fun. It has all the stars and all these in it. Just click, there's probably like a link below or a button below, and I'll send you this rainbow within Messenger. And yeah, you can have it for free. This is something normally I sell like on my site for probably like 25 bucks or something. Usually I sell these. But anyway, yeah, if you catch this video, then you get it for free. Okay, guys, talk to you later.